You know those people who gave you just enough to survive, but never enough to thrive. The ones who whispered settle while you were meant to soar. Listen carefully. One day, the crumbs they handed out will not satisfy them anymore, and the silence you once held will become the roar they wish they could control. Too often, life places us in the hands of people who see only what they want to see, people who underestimate what we are capable of achieving. These are the men and women who hand out crumbs, who think a little is enough to contain your spirit, to confine your dreams. They whisper, be careful. Don't reach too high. Settle where you are. And if you listen, if you allow their words to shape your reality, you begin to believe that their measure is yours. But greatness has never been defined by what others are willing to give. It is defined by the standards you set for yourself, by the courage to claim what you deserve, even when others try to shrink your vision. You must see yourself as they cannot, limitless, uncontainable, meant for more than small gestures or half-hearted approval. Think about the time someone handed you just enough to survive, enough to get by, but never enough to thrive. Maybe it was a mentor who only shared scraps of knowledge. Maybe it was a boss who never recognized your effort. Maybe it was a relationship where your value was measured in tiny doses. Those crumbs were not a reflection of your worth. They were a reflection of their inability to see what you bring to the table. And here's the truth. Their inability to see you does not diminish the light inside you. Your value is inherent. Your talent is undeniable. Your purpose is not negotiable, even if they insist it is. Recognizing your worth means refusing to accept limitations imposed by others. It means standing tall when everyone expects you to kneel. It means walking away from situations that ask you to shrink, to make yourself smaller than you are, just to make them comfortable. It is a radical act of courage because it defies the pattern of seeking validation from those who cannot offer it. When you start measuring yourself by your own potential rather than their approval, you begin to operate from a place of power rather than scarcity. Scarcity. The idea that you must beg for crumbs is a cage. Power, the understanding of your own worth. But here's the paradox. Those who feed you crumbs will never respect your realization immediately. They are accustomed to holding sway over you, to having you settle for less than you deserve. And when you finally refuse, when you finally set higher standards for your life, they may resist. They may question you. They may even try to shame you for wanting more. This is the moment that tests you. It is the moment that separates the people who will rise from those who remain stuck in the comfort of small expectations. Stand firm. Do not allow their discomfort to dictate your actions. Your worth is not up for debate. It is a fact you must honor every single day. Recognizing your worth is also about self-knowledge. It requires you to look inside and identify the unique strengths, the talents, and the passions that make you indispensable. Too often, we allow external voice to define our capabilities, but no one else carries the blueprint of your potential. No one else knows the fire that burns inside your heart, the dreams that keep you awake at night, the resilience that has carried you through storms they could not endure. When you begin to measure yourself by these internal standards, the crumbs lose their power. They shrink in significance, and your own expectations grow larger than anyone else's limitations. Finally, recognizing your worth is an act of rebellion against mediocrity. It is a declaration that you will not live small to make others comfortable. It is a refusal to allow anyone to determine the ceiling of your potential. Every time you walk into a room with confidence, every time you pursue your vision unapologetically, you send a message: I am not here for crumbs. I am here for the whole feast. You realize that life is not about waiting for someone else to notice your value. It is about creating opportunities that demand recognition, crafting a life that cannot be ignored. The men who fed you crumbs may never understand the magnitude of your growth, but that is irrelevant. Your worth exists independent of their perception. Your potential cannot be negotiated, and your destiny cannot be confined. Silence is often misunderstood. People think quiet is weakness, that if you're not constantly speaking, you're losing. But nothing could be further from the truth. Silence is not absence. It is strategy. It is the calm before the storm. The men who fed you crumbs have spent their lives trying to control your voice, trying to make you small, trying to force you into conversations that keep you limited. And yet, when you choose silence, when you refuse to speak on their terms, you reclaim your power. Silence allows you to observe, to measure, to plan. It gives you the chance to grow while they waste energy trying to provoke or diminish you. In that quiet, you build a fortress around your mind, your vision, and your potential. Consider how often the world pressures us to explain ourselves. They ask, why aren't you more like them? Or why are you holding back? But true strength does not require constant explanation. The men who underestimated you have no idea what you're capable of. They never saw your ambition, your resilience, your determination. And that's fine, because silence is more than a shield. It is a tool. It allows you to act without interference, to rise without permission, and to accomplish without applause. While they are busy filling the air with noise, you are preparing for impact. Silence also teaches patience. It allows you to wait for the right moment to reveal your strength. The world is full of people who demand immediate results, who cannot understand slow, deliberate progress. But true power is not rushed. It is cultivated. The quiet moments of preparation, reflection, and planning are where empires are built. When you remain silent, you conserve energy and focus it where it matters most. And when the moment is right, your voice, your action will resonate so profoundly that the echoes will reach further than any words ever could. But there's another reason silence is powerful. It forces the world to chase you. The very people who handed you crumbs, the people who underestimated your worth, will eventually recognize that they can no longer control you. They will try to provoke a response, to draw you into their chaos. And when you remain still, when you refuse to react to their attempts to diminish you, they are left frustrated and powerless. Your silence becomes a mirror that reflects their own inadequacies, their own inability to see what you truly are. And in that reflection, they finally understand, too late, that the quiet was never emptiness. The quiet was strength. Silence also allows you to understand yourself on a deeper level. In the absence of constant noise, you hear your own thoughts. You discover what drives you, what scares you, and what ignites your passion. You no longer rely on external validation to measure your success. You realize that the only approval that matters is your own. And once you grasp this, the crumbs that once felt like sustenance become meaningless. They cannot touch you anymore because your source of power and purpose comes from within. Finally, silence is an act of dignity. It is a refusal to engage with those who have nothing meaningful to offer. It is the recognition that your energy is too valuable to waste on mediocrity, manipulation, or limitation. While the men who fed you crumbs scramble to chase your reaction, you rise above, calm and unshaken. Your silence is a declaration: I am beyond your control. I am beyond your expectations. I am not here to explain myself. I am here to live, to thrive, and to dominate in the ways you could never imagine. And eventually, they will see that the quiet they chased was never weakness. It was power waiting to be unleashed. Life often hands us crumbs, not because we deserve them, but because some people cannot imagine giving more. These crumbs are small, insufficient, and sometimes insulting. They come wrapped in condescension, disguised as advice, recognition, or support. But here's the truth. Every crumb is a lesson. Every tiny morsel you receive teaches you something about the world, about the people around you, and most importantly, about yourself. The men who handed you crumbs thought they were keeping you dependent, keeping you small. But every crumb they gave was a chance for you to learn resilience, resourcefulness, and self-reliance. When you look closely, crumbs are never meaningless. They expose the intentions of those around you. They reveal who truly believes in your potential and who fears it. The people who give just enough to survive are the same people who would rather see you struggle than succeed. Their limitations are not your limitations. Their fear of your growth is not your fear. Instead of being frustrated by their smallness, recognize it as clarity. The crumbs show you exactly who you cannot rely on, who you must surpass, and who you must rise above. Every crumb is a mirror reflecting the boundaries of others, not the boundaries of your destiny. Crumbs also teach patience. When someone offers you less than what you deserve, it forces you to wait, to grow quietly, and to develop skills, knowledge, and character that no immediate abundance could have cultivated. Greatness is not built in moments of convenience. It is forged in the discomfort of scarcity. The men who fed you crumbs inadvertently prepared you for a future where you will thrive independently. They may have meant to hold you back, but instead they were sharpening your hunger, intensifying your drive, and strengthening your resolve. Every crumb is a lesson in endurance. Furthermore, crumbs teach humility and gratitude. They remind you to value the small victories while keeping your eyes on the larger goal. While some might see only deprivation, those who understand the lessons see opportunity. Every crumb pushes you to create your own table, to take control of your own feast, and to never wait for permission to live fully. It's in the small, unsatisfying moments that you learn the true meaning of self-sufficiency. You learn that dependence on those who do not recognize your worth is optional, and that freedom comes when you no longer accept crumbs as enough. Crumbs also test your ingenuity. They compel you to do more with less, to stretch your resources, to think creatively, and to innovate. The men who offered you minimal support could never foresee that the limitations they imposed would ignite your resourcefulness. What seemed like a shortage is actually a training ground for your intellect and your resilience. Every challenge embedded in a crumb becomes an opportunity to rise above, to prove that even the smallest provision cannot contain your potential. These tiny lessons, when multiplied, form the foundation of an unshakable character. Finally, every crumb is a reminder of your responsibility to yourself. They teach you that you cannot depend on others to provide your worth, your success, or your happiness. The men who handed out scraps may try to influence your path, but they cannot dictate it. It is your job to take what they give, learn from it, and then build something far greater than they ever imagined. Every crumb is a step on the ladder of self-mastery. Every limitation they place is a challenge to rise higher. Every small denial becomes a spark that fuels the fire of your destiny. The lesson is clear. Do not curse the crumbs. Do not resent the smallness of what was given. Use it, learn from it, and let it propel you toward the abundance you are meant to claim. There are always people who try to keep you small. They are the ones who whisper doubt into your ears, who question your choices, who attempt to convince you that your dreams are too big, your vision too bold. These are the men who feed you crumbs, the people who underestimate your power because they cannot fathom that someone from where you stand could ever soar higher than they imagined. And yet, the irony is undeniable. The very same people who try to hold you back will one day fear your rise. They will fear the unstoppable force you become once you refuse to be limited by their smallness. Understand this: when you start claiming your worth, when you begin to demand more from life than what others are willing to give, it makes them uncomfortable. They are used to controlling the narrative, to keeping you contained. They rely on your hesitations, your doubts, your compliance. But when you begin to step into your full power, when your confidence eclipses their assumptions, their fear becomes palpable. And in that fear lies your advantage. The more they try to suppress your potential, the more you fuel your determination. Their doubt becomes the wind beneath your wings. The men who undermine you will also fear your vision because they will recognize it is beyond their reach. They have grown comfortable with small victories, minimal achievements, and limited ambition. And when they see you breaking barriers, achieving milestones they never thought possible, and claiming opportunities they refuse to offer, they will feel powerless. They will realize that they cannot stop what was never meant to be stopped. Their fear is the acknowledgement that your rise is inevitable and it will happen with or without their approval. But here's the most powerful truth: the fear of those who undermine you is not something to seek. It is a byproduct of your success. It is proof that you are moving in the right direction. It is a sign that your growth is visible, undeniable, and unstoppable. Let their discomfort remind you of your progress. Let their fear reflect the magnitude of your ambition. Every glance of doubt, every whispered criticism, every attempt to belittle you is a signal that you are ascending beyond the limits they have set. And while they panic at the thought of your potential, you remain calm, focused, and resolute. The fear of those who tried to suppress you also teaches a deeper lesson about power and respect. Respect is never demanded. It is earned through action, persistence, and excellence. When you consistently exceed expectations, when you rise quietly but with unstoppable momentum, the world, including those who once doubted you, takes notice. They cannot help but recognize your authority, your influence, and your capability. And the irony is beautiful. The men who tried to control you, diminish you, and contain you are now chasing your influence, hoping for a fraction of the power they once ignored. Finally, knowing that those who undermine you will eventually fear your rise reminds you to never settle for crumbs again. It reminds you that your journey is about transcending limitations, not pleasing critics. It teaches you that the opinions of the small-minded are irrelevant to your destiny. The rise they feared is not just about success. It is about freedom. It is about self-assertion. And it is about proving to yourself that you were never meant to be defined by the generosity or lack thereof of others. The fear of those who tried to hold you back is the ultimate confirmation that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, and that your rise is unstoppable, inevitable, and magnificent. Words are powerful, but without action, they are empty. Too often, people spend their lives apologizing for their existence, their ambition, or their drive. They try to explain themselves to those who have no intention of understanding. But the truth is, you don't owe anyone an explanation for claiming your space, your time, or your success. Speak with action, not apology. Let your deeds echo louder than any words could. The men who fed you crumbs may have tried to control your narrative, but actions are undeniable. They cannot be dismissed, argued with, or stolen away. Think about it. How many times have people tried to silence you, to minimize your accomplishments, to make you feel small? Their criticisms, their doubts, their condescension are designed to provoke a response, to pull you into their chaos and waste your energy. But when you respond with action, when you move forward while they are still debating your worth, you shift the power. You demonstrate that your life is not defined by their approval. The achievements you create, the goals you accomplish, and the victories you celebrate are louder than any argument they could throw at you. Action commands respect in ways words never can. It is one thing to talk about what you want, to dream of possibilities, or to explain why you deserve more. It is another to show it, day after day, in every effort, every decision, every accomplishment. Those who once underestimated you will no longer question your presence. They will no longer try to dictate your path. Your consistent, tangible progress speaks volumes. It tells the world and them that you are not waiting for permission, recognition, or validation. You are creating your reality with deliberate intention. Speaking through action also protects your energy. When you focus on doing rather than just talking, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of justifying yourself to people who cannot see your value. Silence paired with action is potent. It draws attention without begging for it, commands respect without demanding it, and inspires without preaching. While the men who fed you crumbs scramble to critique or catch up, you are moving forward, building, creating, and leaving a trail of undeniable proof that you were never meant to be small. Moreover, action has the power to inspire others in ways words never could. People will watch what you do, not what you say. Your integrity, your discipline, your perseverance, these qualities shine brightest when demonstrated consistently. Actions tell stories, while words can be forgotten or misinterpreted. When you respond to limitations, doubt, or disrespect with decisive movement, you turn your life into a testament of what is possible. You no longer react to negativity. You rise above it, letting your accomplishments define your narrative. Finally, speaking with action rather than apology is a declaration of self-respect. It is a refusal to be diminished, to be questioned, or to be controlled. It is a commitment to live authentically and courageously, knowing that your results will always speak louder than any explanation you could give. The men who fed you crumbs may wish they could silence you, but your actions cannot be silenced. They are permanent, undeniable, and transformative. When you act boldly, consistently, and intentionally, you turn every limitation into momentum, every doubt into opportunity, and every crumb they offered into a stepping stone toward the extraordinary life you are destined to claim. Too many people measure success by the applause of others, by the recognition that comes from outside themselves. They chase approval, awards, likes, or praise, believing that validation is proof of worth. But the truth is, validation is fleeting, it is unreliable. It is given by those who cannot see your full potential. To truly rise, you must embrace the journey, not the validation. You must find satisfaction in your growth, fulfillment in your discipline, and purpose in your persistence. The men who fed you crumbs were never meant to cheer for your victories. They were meant to test your resolve. The journey is where transformation happens. It is in the long nights, the hard decisions, the sacrifices no one notices, and the relentless pursuit of your vision that greatness is forged. Validation might feel comforting, but it is the internal satisfaction of progress that sustains you. When you embrace the journey, every step, every struggle, and every setback becomes part of your story. Every obstacle is an opportunity to strengthen your character, sharpen your focus, and deepen your understanding of what you are truly capable of. This is where the power of self-reliance emerges, when you no longer depend on others to tell you that you are enough. The men who once tried to limit you by feeding you crumbs may continue to underestimate you, but that no longer matters. Your energy is no longer spent seeking their approval or explaining yourself. Instead, it is invested in becoming the person you were meant to be. The journey is yours, not theirs. When you measure your life by your own standards, you begin to experience freedom, the freedom to grow, the freedom to succeed, and the freedom to define your legacy. Validation becomes irrelevant because you have discovered the most important affirmation, your own. Embracing the journey also teaches patience. The world is impatient, constantly demanding immediate results and constant proof. But true mastery, true fulfillment, does not come overnight. It is cultivated over time through consistent effort, resilience in adversity, and a willingness to endure without immediate recognition. Every small step forward, every quiet win, every lesson learned along the way compounds into a force that no external validation can match. The men who fed you crumbs may scoff at your pace or question your choices, but in the end, it is your journey that shapes you, not their opinions. Moreover, when you focus on the journey, you cultivate authenticity. You stop performing for approval and start living in alignment with your values, goals, and potential. You stop comparing your path to theirs and begin appreciating your unique story. The men who fed you crumbs may have tried to script your life, but when you embrace your journey, you reclaim authorship. Every challenge you overcome, every obstacle you navigate, and every risk you take becomes a testament to your resilience and vision. Your life becomes proof that you were never meant to live by anyone else's expectations. Finally, embracing the journey transforms your relationship with success. You no longer chase fleeting praise or crumbs of recognition. Instead, you chase mastery, purpose, and fulfillment. You understand that the quiet, often unseen work, the persistence, the discipline, the commitment, is what ultimately defines greatness. The men who once doubted you will watch from the sidelines, chasing echoes of the power they once tried to control, while you continue moving forward, focused on your purpose, embracing your growth, and claiming your destiny. The journey, not the applause, is where your true power and legacy are born. So remember this: those who fed you crumbs thought they could keep you small. They thought a little would be enough to define your life. But you are not defined by their limits. You are defined by your vision, your courage, and your refusal to settle for less than what you are worth. You have learned that silence is power, that every crumb is a lesson, that action speaks louder than words, and that your journey is yours alone. The men who once tried to hold you back will watch in awe as you rise beyond their expectations. They will chase your shadow, hoping to contain what they never could, while you stand tall, unstoppable, unshakable, and unapologetic. This is your moment. Your destiny is bigger than any crumb they ever handed you, louder than any doubt they ever whispered, and stronger than any fear they ever tried to instill. So rise with purpose, rise with patience, rise with power, and let the world watch as the quiet, determined, unrelenting force you have become claims every ounce of the greatness that was always meant to be yours. The crumbs are behind you. The silence is yours. The journey is unstoppable. And your life is the feast they never imagined.